And with my massage clients, I used to talk about that too. Like the physical stresses, the physical aches and pains you're feeling are the what's going on inside your head.
Yeah.
You are turning your stress and it's now physical. And as I would work with my clients, it would just happen that as I'm working with them and they're relaxing and they're calming down, they're finding, oh, yeah, that's right. I did have a fight with my spouse. I did miss a deadline. That's where this stress originated. And that's where this is okay. Now they're unraveling and untying that mess
Yeah.
and it goes away.
Welcome to Onward Live, a live stream focused on encouraging you to create a life you love living now. Let's go beyond success to significance. Being clear on our why is crucial. It requires doing the inner work, finding ourselves, getting to know ourselves, embracing our inner child, shedding social conditioning, and letting go of perfect. We know obstacles make us stronger. We can dream big and take action. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. I invite you to tune in every week and engage with me and my inspiring guests. Invite your friends. Let's make time for what matters most in our lives. Let's move onward together. Hi, everybody. It's Emily. Thank you for joining another live show. And tonight I'm excited. I've been chatting with Mindy and we've been chatting about wellness and what does wellness mean to us. And we both agree that wellness is part of creating a life we love living. And I'm sure it is for a lot of my listeners too. So welcome to the show, Mindy Ruddock. Nice to see you here today.
Thank you so much for having me part of your show today, Emily.
Yeah, I'm going to switch this around because then I'm pulling up this. There we go. So we're talking tonight about how everyone's path to wellness is different. And I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us why you're sitting in a gym while you're for this interview and just share a little bit about yourself with us.
So hello all, my name is Mindy. I'm in a gym because I am co-owner of a karate school in Massachusetts. And we just happened to be at the dojo tonight while this fell, so why not set myself up? Wellness is a language I learned at a very young age, and it's a language I continue to speak, and a language I want more people to learn and experience. I started dancing at a very young age, and learning how to move my body and use my body really helped keep my mind. Along with movement, I learned how to eat, how not to eat, which changed as I aged and got older. And that branch of wellness became a part of my life. I'm also a licensed massage therapist here in Massachusetts. I was a massage instructor for a while, and I was actually director of education at a massage school. So
Oh, awesome.
wellness runs through my blood. And now, like I said, I co-own a karate school, I teach yoga, and I talk a lot with my clients, with people I work with, about bringing spiritual wellness into your world as well. So it's my language.
Mind, body, soul connection is kind of
Absolutely.
so.
Can't have one without the other.
I like what you said about how wellness and what you eat kind of changes as you get older. I remember when I was a midshipman at the Naval Academy, and if I go back to my medical records from there, I was like 5'11", 140 pounds. I was really trying to gain weight. They kept giving me these shakes and I could sit and eat a whole pack of Reese's peanut butter cups at dinner and during study hall and be fine. And they actually called me TC for trash can because I could eat, and eat. And now I can't eat, and eat.
Nope. Growing up, my nickname was Mooch because I used to mooch food off of everybody at every cookout we went to. As a dance major in college, I'm 5 feet tall, and I don't think I hit 100 pounds until I was a freshman or sophomore in college. So yeah, I could eat whatever I wanted. And then I had 2 children in my late 20s, and that shifted completely. Discovered that I can no longer eat gluten. My body does not do well with gluten. And what actually really helped retrain my brain is I ran a half marathon and I learned how food needed to become fuel
Yes.
and not just anything I wanted. I had to balance the in with the out and
Yeah.
make sure I was fixing. And yeah,
I
it's a
wasn't
never
feeling much.
ending battle.
I wasn't feeling much with those Reese's peanut butter cups. And I tell you, I don't think my mom's watching whatever, but when I was growing up, we ate really healthy,
Mhm.
really healthy. And my parents were very strict on whether we could eat candy and stuff. So I think that's kind of why in some cases I binged. It says in the yearbook from the academy that once I missed basketball practice because I was so sick because I had Mountain Dew and a whole bag of sour cream and onion potato
Oh
chips.
yeah, that'll do you in.
I just went on junk binges there, and I think that part of it. I think that there needs moderation is good. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I developed those poor eating habits. Now I eat very well. Tonight, I told you I was at the grocery store about an hour ago and I was hungry, but I just kind of looked the other way when I went down the candy aisle and stuff like that and tried to show some restraint.
I didn't. I ran to the store with my son earlier before we came here, and I ate those Reese's peanut butter cups tonight.
Oh, now I'm getting hungry. So you got into wellness basically because, all your life you were, did dancing and you just understood the importance of movement. But what do you mean when you say like mind, body, and soul? What does all that mean to you about like the overall wellness?
So, wellness isn't one thing. Some people will say wellness is make sure you're drinking enough water. Some people will say wellness is making sure you're going to the gym or making sure you're spending time on yourself. It has to be all those things. It
Mm.
has to be all those things.
How do people do that when it's such a we lead such busy lives?
Easier said than done.
Mm.
You have to give yourself the same attention you give everyone else. We live in a world where 95% of us give, skip lunch break, check emails when they're not on call, when they're not at work anymore. It's just what we do unfortunately, as a humanity. But you have to give yourself that same attention, that same time, that same presence. There's a saying, if you don't take care of your wellness now, you'll be taking care of your illness later.
Yeah.
That a main pandemic going around the world right now is stress.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably even first and foremost what wellness is going to help balance out for you. It's going to take that stress and that unfortunate that lives in the world with us.
Yeah. No, I know. And it's really challenging to do, but it's really important to do. So what would you tell somebody who says, well, I'm too busy to take any time out for myself. I'm raising my kids. I've got kids at home during COVID. I've got my job. I've got my inbox with LinkedIn. I've got my email inbox. I've got my Facebook inbox. I got my voice messaging. How do I keep up with it all?
Well, my first question for them, or not even a question, my first comment to them is, you're worth it.
Yeah.
You are worthy. You are worth it. And you have to. I mean, you got to teach our kids. If we want to create a different world, we can't let them keep repeating the same patterns and the same things we've been doing. We have to take care of it. We have to deal with it. And even if that's, as a mom, hiding in the bathroom from my children
Yeah.
and just being for a few minutes and just breathing and or
Yeah.
when you get home from work, sitting in the car for an extra minute or two before you get out of the car. On your drive home from work, blasting whatever it is you're listening to and just letting the day go. I mean, it's tough, but it's a necessity. It's stop putting it on the back burner and make it a priority.
Definitely. Bill says, I know that is so hard. I always put others first. And
I do too, Bill. I have my whole life, my kids, the onward movement that I lead, my clients, and I've learned a little bit about like I'm in this coaching program where we're learning about energy levels. And so energy level 4 out of 7, energy level 4, when you spend time in that energy level, and none of them are good or bad, but when you spend time in that energy level, you're doing a lot for other people and you want to help people and people come to you with their problems. And I spend a lot of time in energy level 4. There's also self-care there, but for people who do put everyone and everything else first, you need to learn to set boundaries. And I'm speaking from experience. I've learned to set boundaries and I'm still work on that. But I noticed too, there's an assessment that I've taken and I'm getting certified in, but that when I get stressed, so I'm giving. Then when I get stressed, I go to this energy level 1, which is just like not feeling appreciated, low energy. And I spent about last week, a whole week in that kind of lower energy because I didn't take enough care of myself. I was just back to back to back to back. And so I get in that habit and I learn I've done it my whole life. So I learned how to catch myself sooner now. But last week was a tough week for me with that.
And that's what it comes down to. You do have to learn your triggers, your response patterns, and only you can break your pattern. Only
Right.
you can break your cycle.
Right.
We're such a world that's stuck in the fight or flight
Yeah.
of our, lost the word. We're stuck in we're stuck in fight or flight, but we don't spend enough time in rest and digest. The other side of things. And that's where our body heals. That's where we restore ourselves. And if we're stuck in fight or flight, there is no movement forward on your path to wellness. You're stuck.
Well, and I'm going to tell you that I was busy, putting everyone first, my job first, everything. And then I retired. So I knew that when I retired, things were going to get better. I was going to have all this free time. It didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm saying is we can't always say, well, it's the circumstances. It didn't happen because then I became, my kid's father got sick and passed away. And then I became a coach and then I'm doing podcast hosting. I'm really good at creating work for myself. And I've realized that I stay so busy so I don't feel my feelings. So
Yep.
I've really worked a lot on myself. So what I'm saying is if you're thinking, well, when I retire, when this happens, I'll start taking care of myself. That's why I have on this thing, create a life you love living now,
Yep.
not later, now.
Now. I mean,
here's a question for you.
Awesome.
So Mindy, this is Holly Kellogg. I'm newly retired, looking forward to really starting to take care of me physically, mentally, spiritually. Thank you for saying that we are worth it. I know I'm worth it, but I don't know where to start on developing, and I can't read it all, on developing my wellness suggestions.
Start simple. If you're a goal creator, create yourself a goal. But don't create a goal that is so big and lofty that it's impossible to obtain. I mean, we hear it all the time, and I loved that it came up in the theme. What's your why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you wanting to create this wellness for yourself? Why? Sometimes your why answers the question before you even ask it. My why is because I like helping people. I like the work I do. But now I can just do it in a different way. So as you discover your why, as you create those goals, take the big goal and make it into little bite-sized chunks and say, this week I'm going to achieve this to get towards my goal. The hardest step is always the first step. Mm-hmm. But then the steps just fall into place. So figure out where you want to begin. You mentioned physically, mentally, spiritually. Choose one. Because a lot of the times you start working physically and all of a sudden you start shifting mentally. Your mental starts shifting and then, oh my goodness, all of a sudden my spirituality is shifting as well. All because I started walking outside for a couple minutes every day. So pick one thing and move forward from there.
And I think awareness plays a big role in it too, like in knowing yourself and knowing what really works for you. For example, I'm worth it. I hired a trainer for this winter because I know I would rather sit inside and not where it's warm and not go out to the YMCA.
Fantastic.
But I hired this trainer and I meet with her like every other, I mean, 2 or 3 times a week, usually two. But by meeting her, I know I'm committed to keeping appointments. And by meeting her, then I'm like, oh, this was fun. And then I go back the next day, even if I'm not meeting with her. So the understanding what works for you, I think, is really important too. And that takes awareness to be able to slow down and even notice that.
And that goes into more of my wellness is such a round. It's not linear, it's round. What works for me is not necessarily going to work for you.
Right.
I'm a mover. Emily, I'm just like you. I can't sit still. I'm always creating a project for myself. I'm always doing something. Typically, I'm moving in some capacity, but that doesn't work for everyone.
Right.
And it don't try to make it work for you if it's not what you need. You need to find your thing,
Right.
your magic, your gift, what you have, and work from there.
So maybe your intuition can tell you, because you say that you wrote in what you sent me that, you know, you have a lot of tools in your toolbox. You've talked about some, we can talk about those too, but you talk about like trusting, you help your clients trust their intuition so that they can find the magic inside.
Yeah.
And so what do you mean by that? Trusting your intuition. How do you find that?
It's always there. It's kind of like the pilot light on your stove, that little flame. It's always there. It's just not always fully ignited, fully being used. We have to feed it to use it. And the way we feed it is we listen to it. Your intuition is never going to lead you astray. Your goal is to not get hurt. Your intuition will not let you not make it so you do not get hurt. It's that voice inside of us that isn't telling you no, is telling you not that way. Try this instead. We all say we have that little voice that yells at us. That's not your intuition. That's something completely different. That's your shadow. That's your darker self. Your intuition wants you to do good. Your intuition wants you to be happy. Your intuition wants to be happy. So the day you're like, should I eat these potato chips or should I eat these carrots? Some days your intuition is like, nope, today's a carrot day. And sometimes your intuition is like, honey, today's a potato chip day. Though that's your intuition. That's just a little guidance system. It's like I just had the thought come to me. My intuition just told me to tell you it's like a GPS system.
Yeah.
It's going to guide us. It's going to lead us. It's going to get us to where we want to, but
yeah,
it's helpful.
it's helpful. Like, so when I notice, you know, when I'm really busy, I don't even notice my intuition, or I might hear it, but just like ignore it. Right. And the other day I was swimming, and that's when a lot of good ideas come to me. I think that's my intuition. Some people might say it, or will say it's God speaking to them. It's the universe. It's our intuition, however you relate to it. And my intuition said, you need to go visit your grandson. So like not this weekend, but next weekend, I thought, yeah, I'm busy, but I'm going to do that. I'm taking time off and I'm going to take him to the Baltimore Aquarium. I'm going to go visit Marshall.
That's
And,
awesome.
you know, so it's just those little things like that I could easily ignore and say I'm too busy or whatever. But that's my intuition telling me, go do that.
And if you listen to that more and periodically, what did you get out of it? You actually get some downtime with someone you love. There is no such better form of self-care than surrounding yourself with people who love you and you love back. And it fills you. And I guarantee if we have a conversation with you the next day, you are going to be glowing.
Oh, I know. I know. I know.
I mean, you're glowing just talking about it,
I am,
but
because my grandson's awesome. I just love spending time with him. I spent time with him in DC. He's 5. So he's at that age that's before you start to, go to school and realize that, you're not good enough, or,
yep.
someone tells you you're not good enough or whatever. I mean, that's where Marshall is. So everything, I see the world through Marshall's eyes. Everything's just like so cool and awesome. We went to the Washington Monument. We're looking for Spider-Man, telling everybody we're looking for Spider-Man. Yeah, so that's downtime too. That's part of my wellness. Thanks, Joy. Joy says, what a beautiful conversation. Mindy, I align with all you say, and you're doing a great job.
Thank you, Joy. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, Joy, like I said, was a recent guest, and I loved her episode. So let's see. Wait, here's another. Says, thanks, Mindy. Emily, can you share screen equally with Mindy? Want to see you too. Yeah, I know. I need a producer. I actually have a producer. Let me see. Some people have producers for their show. This
Producer
is
Pup.
my producer, and she's asleep on the job. So I got to do it all. I got to pay attention to the chat. I got to look at change the graphics and stuff like that. Pearl's sleeping.
Emily,
Okay.
you were mentioning a minute ago about the go, go, go. One part of my journey, my path that I didn't mention was when I was director of education at that school, I actually went through burnout. Part of my path and what brought me to where I am now is I experienced burnout, and I quickly, thankfully to a very supportive husband, I was able to leave the position that I was in and begin to heal myself and really refocus, because I was so in those emails. I was up in Maine. I live in Massachusetts. I was up in Maine at a karate tournament with my son, and an email came in, and I'm in the bathroom answering the email. And my boundaries, what made me think of it is when you mentioned boundaries, my boundaries were gone. No did not exist in my language.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a nice person. I was very short-tempered. I was very quick to jump. I was fatigued. I wasn't eating well. And it really took a step back and realizing that that's not how I want to continue. I took what I thought was the logical step for my career.
Yeah.
I wanted to do it. I loved what I did. I loved who I did it with, but it just wasn't right for me. And now
it wasn't worth it.
I still teach, but now I teach yoga, and I teach preschool karate, and I teach about crystals, and I teach about all different, but I'm not stuck in a 9-to-5, this is how it needs to be done job. That doesn't work for me. That's not, I'm too much of a free spirit apparently for that. But you have to listen, and you have to, hindsight 2020, I now know what my burnout signals are. So if they ever start flashing again, I now know when I need to take a step back and what I need to do. But yeah, sometimes we don't know unless we go through the process. That's why I like helping. I mostly work with women. That's why I like helping them remember those little things about yourself. Like you were saying, playing with your grandson and stuff. When was the last time you really played? If you didn't have that little guy,
I wouldn't be playing or laughing or just like, yeah.
That's where that whole mind, body, spirit comes in. And that connection of wellness is not, like we were saying, not just drinking water, not just working out. It's everything good you're doing for yourself. It's wellness.
Yeah. Yeah. So you work with crystals?
Yes.
I've seen crystals before. I mean, I have a few. My daughter gave me some. I have a friend who like feels the energy from crystals. I want to say I don't yet. Because I don't know if that has to do with awareness or just what. But what do you do with crystals?
So I have been drawn to crystals since I was a little girl. I didn't just pick up rocks. I picked up the pretty sparkly, shiny rocks. I have, my husband's not listening. Okay. I have over 131 varieties of crystals in my personal collection. And I'm not even going to tell you how individual specimens I have because I don't even know anymore. Crystals are energy, just like everything around us. They
Energy.
provide different support. And if you don't believe in that side of things, they're pretty. And pretty things make us feel good. Pretty things make us happy. And that in of itself is a beautiful thing. Some people are drawn to beautiful artwork, and that's what makes them happy. I'm drawn to pretty, shiny, colorful rocks. I have some around my neck, and they just support me in different ways. There's a pink crystal, rose quartz.
Mhm.
Rose quartz, the energy rose quartz gives is all about love, but it's also very calming, and it's got a little bit of self-esteem boosting with it. And then you have a beautiful orange crystal like carnelian. Carnelian is all about creativity and confidence. Your darker, your black crystals are very grounding, very protecting, very bring us down. And now think back to some of the crystals you have in your collection, and I bet you're already feeling the energy, even though you didn't realize you were.
How does someone feel that you just pick it up and then you're supposed to like right away feel it, or is that part of meditating, or
It,
like
it kind of falls into your intuition a little bit.
mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
gonna, you're gonna feel from it what you need at that moment in time. You walk into a crystal shop, you are surrounded by crystals. You are
Yeah.
going to be drawn to a certain piece for a reason. Now, I don't know what that reason is.
Yeah.
Inside you, your intuition knows why you're drawn to it. And yes, you can just having them in the space around you, just wearing them, holding them when you meditate, putting them in the bath water if you take a bath. They
Mhm.
can interact with us in so many different ways.
Yeah. That's awesome. Here's another question for you. As I become more aware, which and more listening to my intuition and more just aware of like how I feel, because I was so busy, I wasn't even aware of that. I have started to recognize when I get into that cycle of doing too much for everybody else. And I have like, I get restless, like
Mhm.
do this project, that project, this project, that project. That's, and then my insides start to feel stressed.
Mhm.
And my outside environment reflects my inside environment. And
Yes.
so, and you know, I've interviewed my son before. He's an alcoholic. He's 5.5 years sober. He's doing great. And I used to think, poor Will, he's drowning his feelings in alcohol. I was drowning my feelings in busyness. And so now the way I look at it, when I see my condo kind of messy, like I didn't do the dishes. I mean, it's not a huge mess, but like these papers are here. I haven't put this away. I've got these books laid out, and it's reflection of my inside. To me, it's the same as just going on a drunken binge. I am not taking care of myself.
I had done a whole series on my Facebook page a while back, and it was the transformation of my office. Now, when we bought our house 6 years ago, my office was my room, but it wasn't my office yet. It was the craft room. It was where we dumped this. It was where we put that. It was where we put this. And as I went down my healing journey, and as I've processed through, it's now my office. It's now neat and organized. But when I am, and I look around my office and I'm like, there's a bomb over there. Something blew up over there. There's
Yeah,
a mess that what happened to my desk. Then I know exactly I need to take a break. I need
yeah,
to, okay, I need to meditate. Okay, I need to go do a yoga flow for me, not
yeah.
teaching a
Not
class,
teaching it.
not leading a group of people. I
Yeah,
need to go sit out in my backyard when it doesn't have 2 feet of snow in it. I need to go sit outside and just do something for me. Then I can come back in, reorganize my office, and
yeah.
everything is back.
Your office is reflecting how you feel inside.
Yep.
Disorganized, stressed, not finished.
And with my massage clients, I used to talk about that too. Like the physical stresses, the physical aches and pains you're feeling are the what's going on inside your head.
Yeah.
You are turning your stress and it's now physical. And as I would work with my clients, it would just happen that as I'm working with them and they're relaxing and they're calming down, they're finding, oh, yeah, that's right. I did have a fight with my spouse. I did miss a deadline. That's where this stress originated. And that's where this is okay. Now they're unraveling and untying that mess.
Yeah.
And it goes away.
Yeah. I had a guest last week who said I can't remember everything, but Brian Clayton, he was working in corporate, and one day his left arm just wasn't working. And it was like that for a few years, he said, until he decided he's leaving that job. The next day, his left arm was working again.
Yeah.
And when I was working for the Navy at the very end there, before I retired, my left hip was killing me. And part of it was because I was flying everywhere. I was on the planes a lot, but I know part of it was stress too.
Yeah, it's the physical manifestation of what's going on inside of you.
Yep.
And that's where if you don't take care of your wellness, it becomes your illness. Your illness doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get sick. Your illness just means you're not well. It just means you're not working at your potential. You're not working to your best you.
Right. Where does sleep play a role in that?
For me, massive. I am a sleep lover. And that was one of the things when I was going through burnout, I was sleeping 4 hours a night, and I'm like a 10-hour a night girl. Like, that's exaggerating.
Yeah,
but I'm like, I totally would. I mean, sleep is where we restore. Sleep is where we heal. Sleep is where our body mends itself. If we're not sleeping, then we're not helping ourselves in any way, shape, or form. And I know there's disorders out there such as like fibromyalgia. Our bodies don't relax, don't sleep in the same way. But beyond that, if you're just staying up late and working, staying up late to catch up on other stuff, you're not doing yourself any justice whatsoever.
No. One of my coaches, Shirzad Shamin, who wrote a book called Positive Intelligence, and he teaches doing these short little meditations, I guess I would call them. They're not really meditations, but throughout the day. He said that when he does them, he might have a ring, like I have this Aura ring. He has something that kind of records if he was asleep or not. It said, when he was doing that little meditation, it recorded it as a nap. So, I mean, that shows you how that is relaxing, taking that time to just breathe in the middle of the day, right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Meditation comes in so many different shapes and sizes. It's not just No. I mean, I can't even just do that. Meditation can be a walk outside while it's quiet. Meditation for me is movement. Meditation can be while you're doing the dishes and you're just focusing on how the water feels, how the bubbles feel, not necessarily, oh man, I'm doing dishes again, and later on I have to do this. It's staying mindful and being in the moment. So meditation can show up anywhere throughout the day. A lot of people, when they ask me how to get into meditation, you already take a shower, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
why not, or tub or whatever it is, why not while you're in that shower, don't think about what you're doing next. Close your eyes, focus on what the water feels like when it hits you. Let that water take that stress and wash it down the drain. Use whatever visualization you might need, and you just meditated.
Yep.
And you just set your intent for the day, and you're going to have a calm, cool, relaxed day.
Yeah. I think, a couple things. Like when I walk my dog, part of my quote unquote meditation is just like noticing how my feet feel on the ground, really paying attention to that, or noticing sounds that are close in or far away, or just keeping my eye on her tail and just focusing on that. It's not walking her while I'm checking my email on my phone. I've done that. I do that sometimes, but I try not to. I try to put, phone's not with me.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
meditation comes in just like we do, comes in all many shapes and sizes. Some people can't meditate, but they go to the gym, and when they're at the gym, they have their headphones on and they are in their zone. That
Yeah.
may as well be a form of meditation too.
Yeah. It's taking care of yourself for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow. So what does living a life that creating a life you love living, what does that mean for you, Mindy?
To me, that's my number one goal. My That's my everyday. That's what I want. That's what I crave at this point. I crave junk food, but
Me
I
too.
crave being surrounded by like-minded people who want to do better, want to feel better, want to make it better all around us. The life I love living, or the life I am living that I love, involves, like I said, movement. It involves different different recipes all the time, I guess. Yeah, I'm a big person on balance. So as long as I'm feeling a mind, body, spirit balance, work life, social life, family life balance, then I'm definitely loving life. If I feel something tip one way more or the other, and I might have to reassess and adjust accordingly and then fall back into alignment.
Yeah, that's where the awareness comes in to even notice how you're feeling, right? Which I
Yeah.
push through my feelings so often. Yeah, so some people might think creating a life you love living is different for everybody, right? What I love may not be what you love, and it doesn't necessarily mean I'm traveling all the time. I don't like traveling. I like
Mhm.
to be at home. A life I love living is just relaxing in my own place and or going camping or something like that. So it's different for everybody.
And it's different stages of life,
Yes.
and it's different seasons of the year. Like I said, I'm in Massachusetts. We are in hibernation mode right now.
Yeah, I
But
know
in the
you are.
summer and the spring, it's a completely different. Loving my life is being in my garden and being in nature and getting my toes in the dirt. But right now, it's cuddling up and being cozy and warm and close to the people I love and occasionally punching a bag.
Yeah, it's not all perfect, right?
No,
You've got two teenage boys at home, so
I
how do you pass this on to your teenage boys? I mean, how do you this is part of the wellness thing is setting an example for them, right?
absolutely. We are a house of talkers, and we have taught our boys from a young age that come to us, talk to us, be with us. Up until my oldest, who's now 15, up until he went off to kindergarten, we were a family that three, uh, 5 to 6 days a week, we were eating 3 meals a day together.
Nice. Yeah.
The pandemic actually was kind of nice for us at one point because we were all together again and everything slowed back down and we could spend time. But it's just reminding them that they can talk to us and that there's tools out there that are going to help them being physical, being active, knowing what works for them. My younger son loves drawing. He's such an amazing artist, and that really levels him out and brings him down. And when he's had a crazy day, just go draw, just go sit,
Mhm.
just go be. My older son loves reading. You will find his nose in a book more often than not, and just reminding them that those are the things that will bring them back to themselves.
Yeah, yeah. I think a lot of, well, for me, and I'm sure other people too, like for me though, I was really focused on getting things done and accomplishing and moving forward and getting my to-do list done. Now I focus more on, I still do some of that stuff but I'm more in flow. It's not out of stress. And I'm also conscious of how and who I'm being as I'm doing that.
Absolutely.
So that I think that's important too. See, we have this D has a question here. What's the first step I should identify and how to create a life I would love living? Are there any key factors I should be aware of to move forward in this journey called life? Sometimes it's just easier said than done for me. I'll go, and then you go first, Mindy. What's the first thing someone?
Follow your intuition. Follow your gut. Do what feels right for you. That's your intuition. If it feels wrong, there's a reason it feels wrong, because it wasn't meant for you. So creating the life you love is your building blocks. You gotta take that step forward and listen to it and follow it.
Yeah. Dee, that's what like my Onward Accelerator coaching program is all about. I've got, if you look on the in the Onward Movement website, and let's see, I'll put up here where you can go and join the Onward Movement. I said website, but it's a Facebook group, and I'll have a coaching program called the Onward Accelerator program. I have 8 steps. It doesn't mean that you finish it in 8 weeks. It depends on how in depth you want to go on knowing yourself. But it's learning to listen to that intuition. It's learning to look at what your values are. I worked for the Navy my whole life, and I know what the Navy's values are. What are mine? Did I ever take a step back and really, get in touch with that? How many times do we do strategic planning at work? And then how many times do we do strategic planning and looking at our lives from that holistic perspective? A lot of us don't. I didn't.
Yeah.
It's going back and looking at what you used to love, because sometimes, like I used to say, my dreams got buried under a mountain of responsibility. So what did I used to love doing? What would I love? What would I want to do? And a lot of times we say, well, what would I love? Well, I would love that, but I can't have it, because how do you know you can't? How do you know?
I'm going to go back again. This goes back to you mentioned before how I help people find their magic. That magic, you define that word any way you want. It's your spark. It's your joy. It's what makes you alive. It's what you have to share with the world.
Yeah. And everybody's here for a reason.
Yep. And it's unique for each individual.
Yeah. It's like, what's your why? So it takes time. It took working with a coach to figure some of that stuff out.
For me, it took burnout.
Burnout too for me. So you got to figure out what works best for you. She says, awesome. Sometimes I feel I've lost myself on this journey, being everything to all but doing nothing for myself. Yeah.
There are times. There are definitely times on the journey where loneliness is the toughest thing to deal with, but once you realize you're not alone, you're not the only one going through something. Our paths are different, but you might have something that you can relate to in my path, in my journey, in my story. And now suddenly you're not alone. But that loneliness feeling can definitely derail you sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely not alone. It's a lot of the journey I've been on the path. Dee, I know we used to work together with the Navy. It's a lot of the journey I've been on since I retired, Dee. It's like I called my retirement a graduation, right? Yes, I'm graduating. I can do what I want to do. Wait, who am I? What do I want to do? Everyone's telling me what I should do. You should go be a government contracting consultant. You should do this. You should do that. What do I want to do? I don't even know. My dreams are buried under a mountain of responsibilities. I had to figure it out. And figuring it out doesn't come from your thinking brain. It comes from your heart and your intuition.
Yeah.
And you have to be able to get in touch with that. That's where the figuring out comes. I spent most of my life in that thinking brain.
Yeah. I think that's what we're taught. That's what we're shown. I mean, that's what the generation before us did. So that's what our generation's going to do, regardless of what generation you fall into.
Right. Okay. So I want to show how people can get in touch with you. So it's all the Wellness Path WWC. And you have to put the WWC in there or else you get to a chiropractor. I know.
Yeah. And the WWC stands for Women's Wellness Coach.
Awesome.
If it helps.
The The Wellness Path Women's Wellness Coach. So that's Instagram. Facebook is the same. And then that's how we can reach you by email too. The Wellness Path Women's Wellness Coach at gmail.com. And then you have a website.
I do have a
The
website.
Wellness Path. Yeah. Yeah. So you said that you were doing massage and then you stopped that a little bit during COVID. And
Yeah, as we started COVID, I was kind of growing out of massage as it was. The burnout didn't help. My passion for it just wasn't the same. But I
Yeah.
still wanted to work with people. I still wanted to. And I actually, the month before, so February of 2019, I did an event here at the dojo I called Mojo at the Dojo. It was Mom's Night at the dojo. It's turned into all women, but originally it was for moms. And it was a 2-hour event where we came in for an hour. The first time we beat the living daylights out of bags. We punched, we kicked, we released.
That's better than drinking wine.
Yeah. And then we had a little
drinking wine right now.
We had a little conversation in the middle, and then I led them through a guided meditation. And that night was one of the best nights I had in a long time. I felt what I needed to be doing. And unfortunately, my second event was the day we went into lockdown. So I tried doing them virtually. I tried doing them different ways, and it unfortunately didn't work. I was able to launch them again last June, and I had some very popular nights. It changed from, we don't just punch the bag all the time. We move in some way. I like to help people understand that the physical movement, it's a release and a relax.
Yeah.
So it was a journey. And as I was doing that, I realized how much I liked. I'm a natural teacher. I like guiding. I like leading. And that's what kind of led me to the world of coaching.
Yeah. And so the thing is that to figure out some things that you would love, when we say pay attention to your intuition or your feeling, not your thinking head, it's like, do you feel like, yes, I love this. This is so much fun. I'm in my zone. Or do you feel like, oh,
why did I do that?
Why did I do that? This is hard. I don't want to prepare to go, give another massage, or I don't want to prepare to go and do this, or I don't want to go to the office anymore.
Are you surrounding yourself with people who are giving you energy or taking your energy? Mm-hmm. If you're surrounded by people that are equally giving you energy just as much as you are, it is a beautiful experience. If you are surrounded by vampire suckers sucking the energy out of you, that's not the environment for you.
So let's see, we've got another comment here. Joy says, I've done so many things differently than my parents. Yes, which has been so great for my life. And it doesn't mean that your parents were wrong or whatever, but it's just, you're figuring out what's right for you. Just because it was right for your parents doesn't mean it's right for you.
Absolutely. It's been actually an interesting part of my journey recently. I started teaching yoga here a couple days a week at the school, and my mother recently retired, and my mom has been joining me in yoga classes.
Oh, awesome.
And it's a really interesting experience to suddenly teach your mother and watch her shift and change now and stuff. It's been an interesting part. So it's kind of, she's getting to know a new, different version of me, but yet I'm still getting to know a new, different side of her at the same time. So it's interesting.
That's awesome. I just went for a walk today with my mom, and I had a hard time keeping up with her. She's 78 and she's in such good shape. And then tomorrow we have pottery class together. So I'm doing some fun things with her. I'm very fortunate. We're both very fortunate to have our moms and to be able to spend time with them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Think about another thing that would help you with what do you love, what would you love? Or, are you living your life in your purpose? Or are you living the life the way you really want to? Or is it should? The way people say you should is to, it sounds maybe morbid, but like, what do you want people to say at your funeral?
What do you want to be remembered for?
What do you want to be remembered for?
And you don't even have to go morbid with it. When you leave the room, what do you want people to say about you?
Yeah.
Do you want people to say, ugh, I don't know. I mean, I'm all about energy. If you haven't noticed, I'm kind of a woo-woo person, as they say. If when you leave the room, if they're like, "Ugh, that was such a negative energy. That was such a heavy feeling," and now that they're gone, or do you want them to say, "Oh, they brought such lovely time and space. They were here. It was such a beautiful moment." Like, what do you want them to say about you?
In order to bring that positive, that awesome, electrifying energy, you have to be being and doing things that you love.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because I mean, I feel like in my last job I didn't always have the best energy, and I was stressed, and I was not loving it anymore, and
Yep.
it reflected there, and it was reflecting in my health, and it was reflecting in my hip, and
And
yeah,
if you're not careful, it starts reflecting in your relationships, and it
yes,
starts reflecting and so many
everywhere.
more things. This is
Yeah.
where the practice what you preach. You ask me how I help my sons. I practice what I preach.
Mhm.
I look at them and I say, "Guys, I need a break. I'm going to go meditate for a while." I I say, "Let's go for a walk. You practice what you preach."
Yeah, definitely. Mindy, as we wrap this up, any last words of wisdom for people watching now and people listening later?
Oh man, I got to think of a good one. This is what it all boils down to: do what you love. And you mentioned before your core values. If you really identify your core values, then you're going to live your truest, fullest life. To me, authenticity is a number one. If I'm not living an authentic life, then I'm not working to my fullest potential. So sit down, think about your why, the life you want, living the life you love, how you're going to stay well, and you'll be in alignment.
You'll be in alignment and things start to fall in place.
Yep.
You may not know, you may have this vision, this dream for what a life you love living is. And it may be such a dream that you don't know how you're going to get there. You don't know how you're going to get this, but this is what you would love. That's where we need to get to, where we can, like, I would love, and you name it. What did to be able to start have a fund and help need some people that are in need, or to do this or do that, or to live in this house, anything that you can think of. And you may not know exactly how to get there, but if you start taking steps and hold that vision in your mind, things in the universe are going to start falling in place. If you're on the energy level of that dream, if you're like, oh, you're not going to you're not going to live the life you were meant to live.
It looks like I'm giving you a look of disbelief, but I have to tell you, this just popped into my head. Facebook reminded me of something I posted on Facebook 12 years ago. And it was a off the cuff comment someone put. 12 years ago, I was in massage school. And my comment was, "When I open my women's wellness clinic, I'll let you know."
See, you didn't know how you were going to do that, but you said it, and you felt it. And so I'm in this one coaching program where, she'll say, well, let me just explain it this way. You want to set the temperature to a certain temperature on your thermostat at home. You want it to be 80, let's say. You don't just sit there and go, oh, I wish it would be 80. Why can't it be 80? You would go and adjust it. So if you've got a dream that's on the level of 80 degrees on your thermostat and your energy level is 60, you're never going to get your dream. You
hear people
come from the energy of the dream. You be the person that already has that wellness center.
Yeah.
When you're washing the dishes, when you're dealing with your husband and kids, as you're walking into work, you are the person that has that wellness center, and it will happen.
You hear people talk about manifesting their destiny, creating their future. But what work are you doing now so that future comes true? You can't just sit, hope, wish, and wish upon the falling star. You have to put the work in. You make the wish, you hope, You pray that it works out, but you put the work in so that you eventually get there. The path might be your path might be a winding. There might be a fork in the road. There might be a speed bump. There might be a massive pothole at some point in time. But as long as you keep going forward, who knows what the future holds.
I love that showed up, like the wellness center. That's awesome. Well, thank you, Gracie, for watching, and thank you to everybody. Dee, Joy, Lydia. I know that there's so many people. Pramila. I really appreciate. I can't name everybody, but I really appreciate you guys for showing up tonight. Thank you so much. And Mindy, thank you for being such an awesome guest.
I am so excited to be here. Have been here. I can't wait. I mean, I'm like fired up right now.
Well, you keep going in the direction of your dreams too, and keep creating a life you love living and helping people on their path to wellness.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to put you in the green room, and I'll be right there. Okay.
Fabulous. Be well, everyone.
Bye, everybody. I'm going to play my outro video here in just a minute. Thank you all for watching. I really do appreciate you guys. And I'll be live again next week. So 7:30 Eastern on Wednesday nights. I appreciate you.
Onward Live is sponsored by Emily Harmon Coaching and Consulting. Visit my website, emilyharmon.com, to learn more about me and my coaching programs. I'd love to help you create a life you love living. Remember, every adversity is our own personal university. Sometimes the lessons are difficult, and we must learn from our experiences. Vulnerability is your superpower. You are lovable and worthy. And we discuss these topics and more because professional is personal. Thank you for joining us and engaging with me and my guest. I look forward to seeing you next time.